listening to pause. We pause for a second or two. This is episode 88, Unproductive Pausing. Pausing is something we can do in a number of different ways. Pausing is good for many things. And pausing whenever a pause is made by someone, by us, we may choose different. Whenever a pause is made, things can change. Things can take a turn. Today, we will talk about a certain kind of pausing that we may call unproductive pausing. It is very scary to not be productive. If we are unproductive, and if other people look at us as being unproductive, then that's not good. They might not want to have us in the group if we don't do the work. But to be productive does not mean to be productive all the time. Those two are different. We can be productive and still be unproductive now and again. In fact, it could be argued that in order to be truly productive, we need moments of unproductive time. Unproductive pausing. Not that many people do unproductive pausing. Especially not now, when there is a lot of stress and conflict going around. It is more scary to be unproductive in stressful times. So, what happens when we do unproductive pausing? When we do unproductive pausing, we just don't try to do anything. We sort of stop trying for a moment. When we do unproductive pausing, it can feel like things are catching up to us. It can feel like who we are supposed to be is sort of shouted at us. It can feel like dangers can come too close. It can feel like voices from our past, voices of authority, kind of come back and say mean things to us, or say harsh things to us. To make such an unproductive pause is, in a sense, to just give in and just allow for tensions and disappointments to just be what they are. It is not easy to do unproductive pausing. It is not easy. When we do unproductive pausing, we feel who we are and where we come from. We feel how we lack. We feel how far back in time this sort of lacking sense goes. We feel the large number of people before us who has had a similar feeling. I, for one, I had my great-grandfather. No, my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather. He was a sailor, a seaman. And then he had to take a job he did not want to take in a factory. His sister, he had two sisters. One of his sisters became a missionary and went to China to spread the word. And in China, she unfortunately caught dysentery, and she passed away and was buried in China. And the other sister, she couldn't have children, and instead she became a delivering nurse. And she delivered all my relatives after her. And when we do these unproductive pausing, these unproductive pauses, we get in touch with similar senses of disappointment. My great-grandfather couldn't be a seaman. His sister passed away in a distant land, and his other sister couldn't have any kids, even though she wanted to. And to be unproductive is, in a sense, to accept that we are not in control of everything. This is very difficult. And the point of unproductive pausing is that we get less lonely when we do it. Sometimes we cannot be the seaman we want to. Sometimes we die in a foreign country. And sometimes we cannot have kids. And sometimes there is something else that wasn't planned, that wasn't productive. And this is the point. Some things in life are not productive. Some things in life demand something else from us. Some things in life make us lonely, utterly lonely. Oftentimes, when we think about unproductive pausing, to just not do anything for a moment, we think about it as all pain and no gain. And that is true in the beginning. In the beginning, it is all pain and no gain. And the pain is also very in your face, very brute in the beginning. So it feels not very worthwhile to go through it. It just does not. And the gain is not, it's not very flashy. The gain is not very sexy. The gain is not very pleasant. The gain is more of a the gain is more of a presence, a self-presence. The gain is more that our weight comes back to us. Our sort of sight, our presence in the eyes comes back. Our ability to feel traction in life, to sort of connect, comes back. And it's not always very tangible. It's kind of slow, and it can feel like there is no reward. It can feel like it is only pain and no gain. And I guess the more you need it, the more difficult it will be to feel the gain. When we do unproductive pausing, it does not mean that productive things does not happen. It just means that we take a step back and let other forces do the productive work for a moment. So, for example, when we are sleeping, that is in a sense a kind of unproductive work, unproductive pausing, that we just, give in to sleep, and sleep is productive for us. Unproductive pausing is a bit like that, to allow for something else to take over for a while. So resting, just resting, just in the middle of the day, lying down for a while. That is a kind of unproductive pause. To just allow for the body and thoughts and feelings to just go around for a while and do their thing. Some people almost never do unproductive pausing. Some people kind of vibrate constantly. And these people are kind of striking. They influence a lot. They influence a lot and get to know nobody. And these people do not know who they came from. And they do not really meet anyone on their way. It's like they are not really there, in a sense. And there are many ways to describe these people. They can be described as cold. They can be described as lacking heart. They can be described as false or lying. They can be described as greedy or vicious. There are thousands of words to describe people who never are unproductive. But to describe a person who sometimes is unproductive, who sometimes does unproductive pausing, there is just one way of describing them, and that is that they feel like themselves. And it is very nice to meet someone who feels like themselves. And it is a very nice feeling to feel like yourself. And I think that unproductive pausing, to sometimes not really doing good or bad, not doing really anything, I think that is part of the secret. Not all of it, but one part. That's it for today. Thank you.